Moving now from the gentle breezes of the Adriatic to the stiff winds of Juneau, Alaska. Today, to the chagrin of the McCain campaign, another big drip in what's become the daily drip, drip, drip of Sarah Palin would-be scandals. The latest, new information about Troopergate. That's the one about whether Sarah Palin fired the top cop in Alaska to retaliate for his not firing Palin's ex-brother-in-law. It's an investigation we reported last night that the McCain campaign is actively trying to kill. Now Newsweek magazine reports that 3 years ago, an Alaskan judge warned Palin and her family to stop, quote, disparaging the reputation of Trooper Michael Wooten. He's the ex-brother-in-law. Court records obtained by Newsweek revealed the judge reprimanded Palin and her family, quote, disparaging will not be tolerated. It is a form of child abuse. The disparagement by either parent or their surrogates is emotional child abuse. The Troopergate investigation possibly now linked to a whole new Palin scandal, so new it doesn't even have a gate attached to it yet. This new one involves official emails being withheld from public view by Governor Palin's office. About 1,100 emails, to be exact, being hidden from the public. They are citing, stop me if you've heard this one before, they're citing executive privilege. Is it just me, or is Sarah Palin starting to seem like she really might be very well qualified to succeed Dick Cheney? You might remember Dick Cheney's week of missing emails, which happened to coincide with the opening of the Valerie Plame investigation. Anyway, here's the interesting and perhaps insidious part about Palin's email scandal. Some of the emails in question, rather than addressing, legitimate state business, these emails have subject lines addressing some of Palin's biggest political adversaries, including this series of emails on February 1st concerning her former gubernatorial opponent, Andrew Halcrow. Take a look at who's copied on those emails. That would be the self-proclaimed first dude, Todd Palin. He's also copied on emails relating to the Alaska State Troopers. Troopergate, anyone? And by the way, when you loop your husband into official state business, doesn't that negate the whole executive privilege argument? Joining us now is David Korn, the Washington bureau chief for Mother Jones magazine, which has been investigating Palin's hidden emails. David Korn, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Good to be with you, Rachel. Congratulations on the show.
Thank you. We're happy to have you. So how does the Palin administration explain why they're not releasing these 1,100 emails?
Well, to back up a second, what happened was an independent watchdog in Alaska named Andre McLeod, who is a registered Republican and has held Republican jobs in the past, filed an Open Records Act request for 4 months' worth of emails pertaining to two top aides to Governor Palin. Andre McLeod suspected that these people were doing partisan activity on official business hours. And in response to her request, the governor's office turned over 4 boxes of emails. And nothing in the emails that were turned over backed up McLeod's suspicions. But maybe we know why, because they also handed over the governor's office a 78-page list of those 1,100 emails that were not being released. And they cited, as you noted, executive privilege and the privilege of deliberative process. They're kind of the same thing. Basically, it means, and this is according to Alaska state law, if there are confidential deliberations amongst the governor and her aides about policy matters, and this is before decisions are made, they call it pre-decisional decision-making, then you can withhold those emails from the public. Now, as you noted, a lot of these emails have subject lines which indicate they may not be about policy. They're about political foes, about journalists in Alaska, about the Alaska State Troopers, and other things. And they also were CC'd, as you noted, to Todd Palin, who is not an official member of the Alaska State government. Thus, the question is, well, are they abusing these privileges or not? Right. It seems like a lot of emails to withhold, and it seems like they're on pretty dicey ground. I've looked at the Alaska State Supreme Court decisions about these privileges, and they say they have to be about confidential policy matters only among aides and the governor. Doesn't seem to be the case for a lot of these emails.
It should be noted that even though Todd Palin doesn't, from outside Alaska, seem like he has an official job in the government, I don't think there's anybody else in Alaska who would call themselves first dude. So he does exclusively hold that official title.
And he is a close and very influential advisor to Sarah Palin.
Sure.
But if she's sharing those emails with private citizen Todd Palin, it's hard to. I think she'll have trouble before a court saying, I can't show these to other citizens.
Exactly, and that's the problem with the executive privilege claim here. And so who gets to review these 1,100 emails that have been withheld, supposedly because they involve protected communications?
Yeah.
Who gets to review them to see if they actually ought to have been protected, or if they're just covering their own behinds by keeping embarrassing stuff or potentially incriminating stuff away from the public?
Well, you're going to like this one. The first person who gets to review them is the first entity is the office of Governor Sarah Palin. I mean, the Freedom of the Open Records Act request went to her office, and they fulfilled it partly and denied all these other documents. And Andre McLeod is now, as of yesterday, filed an appeal of that decision, which goes back to the governor's office and is asking them to review these withholdings. And what will happen next is, I assume they're going to say, you know what? We probably got it right the first time. And then, as in most cases, in most states, then the course of action would be to take it to a court where a judge would finally get to say. The interesting thing, I've looked at the law on this, is that state Supreme Justices in the past in Alaska have said that the executive privilege, the deliberative process privilege, these are not absolute privileges. There's a balancing test against the public right to know. And that Governor Palin at any time, on her own, can say, I'm releasing these documents. I think the public has a right to know. So she can't even use these privileges as a crutch and say I have no choice. At any time, she has the discretion to make them public.
Sure, and if she's going to campaign as a transparent, open government reformer, it would probably politically behoove her to do that. David Corn, Washington Bureau Chief for Mother Jones Magazine, thanks for your reporting on this. Thanks for taking time to join us.
My pleasure.